Welcome to the Konsider Show, exclusive interviews with entrepreneurs in cannabis and non-related cannabis industries that explores minds of those that are expressing their realities on common social problems and business opportunities that they have experienced in life, offering solutions to those that tune in to what is being said, that they are helping others guide themselves by sharing. The power is within. So sit back and relax and listen. It is in the process, not the event. Hotep, I am that I am. Some call me Haru, your modern monk, your cannabis fitness strategist. Back at it again. Another exclusive, look, I can't even talk. Another exclusive interview with my brother, Michael Dean. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, one of the things I want to say is this. We've been knowing of each other for a while. We kind of have a relationship, past relationships, due to some of the interests, from music to art to different aspects on that. So, introduce yourself. What are you, I know you, but I want to give an opportunity for other people to know you as well. I know you've been doing a great job with your podcast, especially your Prince podcast and your podcastjuice.com. Tell us a little bit about how's that been progressing, how you've been kind of moving, a little bit about yourself, what you do. I know you're in music, I know you're in movies, I know you do a little bit of everything artistic. That's what I do love about you,
Well, first off, let me say, man, thank you for, letting me come on your platform and share. That's a blessing unto itself.
Oh, good, brother.
I would say this, most people may know me as Michael Dean from podcastjuice.net. That's the website, that's the platform. We do podcasting there. Our big show is the Prince Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing that now for 13 some odd years.
Wow.
And I started that actually probably around the time when I first met you at that office space down in Renton.
That's right. Wow.
So started it up there with me and my partner, one of my longtime friends. We were just big Prince fans, and I heard about podcasting, and I said, well, hey man, maybe we should try this. And we'd be talking about Prince and stuff anyway, just among ourselves. Kind of studied it, was really into it. I said, let's record it. And so it just kind of started like that, man. It was just like a pure passion project. It was something that we was talking about anyway. And we just said, let's record it and put it out there. And, we just kept doing it. And, all these years, I just stayed at it, man. And it was like the more I did it, the more I got into it, the more I started seeing people sort of responding to it. It just kind of, kept it going. It's just sometimes there would be lulls and breaks, but I always came back to it.
Yeah, for sure. You've been consistent with it. That's what I've been noticing big time. Even in the beginning years, I remember it too, because I was always explaining or talking to somebody about what you was doing, the podcasting or the music thing or something with the connection. I was just explaining the other day about the pro tape aspect approach, how I kind of got introduced to you the first years, my first years when I was, when I moved to Washington back in the 90s, late 90s.
I didn't know that. I can't remember when we met the Pro Tape.
We met, Pro Tape. I remember even walking in there, even the layout, and I just was like, it was you and somebody else up in there, and then, matter of fact, because that's when we actually connected again, I think in 05. I think it was 05, 06, somewhere around there, where I was working with Dorian, and he had said something, mentioned your name, and I was like, man, I know this dude. Yeah, he from Pro Tapes, So I was like, so that was something that I definitely, and I always paid attention to. You always been a mentor, inspiration for me too, as well, far as sticking into the podcast. I mean, you was the one who actually kind of put that into mind. You
Oh
know.
man, thank you, man.
You know.
Let me just go back to that pro tape thing. Since you bring that up, I worked there for 15 years.
Yeah.
That was a blessing that I didn't even recognize at the time. But I think the other cat that you were talking about, I'm assuming it was Tobias, another brother that worked
Okay.
with me. That's my, that's my guy. Me and him been best friends since middle school.
Oh,
To
wow.
this very day. So
Wow.
that's my guy. And it's a classic story because we were both fresh out of high school. We graduated in '88. Rainier Beach here in Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of us is going to go to school. And we were doing music. Our goal was like, we're going to get in the studio and do this music thing heavy.
Big
Me and
time.
him had started a music group at the time, Death to the Flesh. We started kind of doing one thing. I don't know if you know who Nasty Nez is. It's with Nasty Mix and Sir Mix-a-Lot and all that.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
He had offered us a record deal, and so we went through that whole thing. We were doing our thing, and we started working at. And I'm gonna say this story because I think it's kind of important. We started working at a warehouse jobs.
Okay.
We was kind of getting a little discouraged, but we would just take our money and go down to the recording studio, and that was our school.
I got you.
So we really learned a lot about engineering and how to record and find your voice and all that kind of stuff. We spent a lot of money and time there. But again, through the blessings that God put another brother who was working at the studio as an engineer who mentored us and said, hey, y'all can come in after hours. You know what I'm saying? And because I like what y'all doing, I'm gonna let y'all come in on the low. And y'all can stay here all night if you want. So that was a school thing for us. And another older dude. And this was in Seattle back when grunge was
big, yeah, that was huge, yeah.
Yeah, so we was doing hip hop. So for them, for us to be in a professional recording studio and another brother in Seattle sort of opened the gate for us and said, hey, y'all come in and learn. So that was a major thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was Tobias, he got a job at Pro Tape, which was a big deal at the time. It was like, yo,
huge.
You get your tape, you get your demos done here, you get your cassettes, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he said, and then maybe a couple months later, he's like, yo, Mike, one of these other dudes is quitting. You should come on in, man, and go apply. Put the word in for you. So at the time, I was doing these 10-hour shifts, hard manual labor type jobs.
Wow.
And so going from that to going to work at Pro Tape was a total shift. In terms of, man, I almost feel guilty because I was like, man, we're not sweating. The foot is on our back. We're doing music, we're getting paid to do this. So it was a whole tonal shift on how you see things. And this is back in the day when you got a job and you could kind of stay there for a while.
Oh, for sure. I
so
agree
it was
with
like
that.
I started sort of at the bottom, and then, like I said, 15 years later, it was to the point where I knew everything to do with it. I had learned other skills working there, so I learned Photoshop.
That's right.
Because cats wanted to come in and get the album covers done. So okay, I need to learn how to do this. Go get some books. Because there's opportunity here. So I learned how to be a graphic designer. This is also during the period when the internet started to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I started hearing about websites. And the cool part about it, I didn't even have a computer. But I was like, I need to be online.
For sure.
It was an open play field. I was like, however I got to figure this out, I got to have a website. So I would go to, there was a place called the Speakeasy. It used to be down the street. It was an internet cafe. It was one of the first in the city. And you could go in there, pay $4 or $5 for an hour. So what I would do, I would go to the bookstore. This is back when magazines was really popular.
Yeah.
I would go get a tech magazine that had a tutorial on HTML.
That's right.
So I would
That's
go
right.
get that magazine. I go down to Speakeasy, bring one of the computers, and I'm like, okay, I gotta learn HTML because this is what they say is how you can make a website, and I gotta get on there. And I don't have time for nobody to teach me or wait for
Gotcha.
I got to do this for myself. So I would just sit there and look at the magazine, type it on the screen, and I was like, oh, okay, boom. and then I was, I got a website. So, taking all those skills I learned from there, and, here's sort of the entrepreneurial part about it is, I come from a family of workers.
Gotcha.
Long generation. My grandfather recently passed, and he worked as a mail carrier for like 23 years.
Wow.
And so I was a kid spending the night with my grandparents for weeks at a time. I would see him getting up and going over to work every day.
Big time.
So that's where I got a lot of ethics of, okay, a man got to go out here and get his, got to work.
Indeed.
He also worked so after he retired from there, he went to go work at the Westin Hotel, which is a local, one of the big hotels in town.
Yes.
He worked there for 38 years after that. But
wow.
Always working. But then the other thing I always thought he'd do was he played golf. That was his podcasting was golf.
Gotcha.
He was one of the original OG black golfers in the Seattle area who, really put it down. Even to this day, everybody know, oh yeah, he was about that golfing. So I say all this to say, we learn these different skills from our elders and mentors. And so then when I was in that situation with Prototape, I started, saying, hey, you have to be the best at whatever it is you do.
Gotcha.
I didn't own that business, but I felt like I needed to operate it like it was mine. So it was to the point where you could tell the guy who did own it, a white dude, it's like, yo, you don't even have to come in to work no more. You can just go chill. We're gonna make this bread, and it's like, everybody's gonna eat. But, it was a point. It was in situations too. For whatever reason, I didn't like to eat. I didn't like to have somebody tell me what to do.
I got you. No, I got you. That's them building blocks to a great entrepreneur.
And so it was an opportunity for me to sort of prove to him that I could do what I was doing. He could trust me, and then I could just kind of do my own thing. So it worked out perfectly. But what ended up happening, which always happens with a lot of cats, is you sort of get to a ceiling where you're not going to go no further.
Got you.
And the situation was, I felt like, we needed to break a little more bread with me because I was bringing in money. And, I can understand now looking back, or he was like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. And so I just took that. At the time, I took it as a diss. I was on my tube. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to even trip about it. I just said, you know what? I thank you for the opportunity. But I'm going to go ahead and bounce.
Got you.
I'll just do my own thing. So that's kind of when I guess maybe me and you kind of came back, saw each other again, is when after I left that, when I got my own office and said, you know what, I can do the same thing I was doing for him for myself.
Big
and
time.
do it better.
Yeah.
So it was just one of the classic cases where you sort of said, hey, I'm going to just take everything I learned from over there. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but put my spin on it. And, it was interesting because at the time I was married, just had a baby. I didn't have a lot of money saved, but just doing good business and being, trying to be respectful for everybody. I was able to leave out of that situation, and one of the bigger clients that Protape had decided to jump ship with me.
Oh, wow.
And that's what really kind of set it. It was actually a church.
Okay.
The church was like, we're doing sermons obviously every Sunday. We want to record those and put them on CDs so we can pass them out to, every week.
Big time, yeah. Makes sense.
And it was a big church at the time. I'm not going to say the name, it was a big church. And it was a deal I had set up for Protape. And that was kind of where, that's where, I set that up for him. And I'm like, yo, I'm going to bring you business every week. If I can get this going for a few weeks, maybe we can sit at the table and we can chop up a little deal for me or something. But when he decided he didn't want to do that, that's when I said, okay, I'm cool. I'm going to bounce. And then what had happened was, I went and did my own thing. I'm kind of low-key stressing, like, man, I got no business. What am I going to do? About a week and a half later, the church hit me up and was like, oh, we want to do business with you.
Oh, wow. That's on point.
Where do we send our stuff? And that guaranteed me having good business every week. If nothing else happened, that church was the bread
coming through.
Yeah. And I was looking at that. God was just like, I got you. Don't worry about it. I'm telling you, I'm giving you a sign. This is what you need to do. Even though you don't see it, I'm gonna come through for it. And he came through. So I was just like, okay, have a little faith, Michael. Stop being so scary. So anyway, yeah, man, that's how that happened. But all of that, I say all that to say, it was always just like I always had to take some of the things that I learned and being a creative type of person and try to put myself in positions where I could still be creative. So, I always still did the music thing. And I had that business. It was just an opportunity for me to take care of my bills and things like that.
Sure.
Other passions and things I wanted to do.
For sure.
And, it all sort of worked, put me around creative people such as yourself, Dorian, another entrepreneur, and then some of the other people that I was able to meet.
No doubt.
And that period, that's kind of when I started to get into podcasting. And, it's like, okay, this is perfect for me. I see the internet continues to open the doors, and there's no gatekeepers, so cool.
Yeah, yes.
No gatekeepers. So it's just about as hard as I want to work at it. It's just what good to be.
Got you.
But anyway, I can keep my mouth. So
yeah, and that brings us to a great point because I was the second question I was going to ask you: who or what has influenced you to start your successful path as an entrepreneur, as a podcaster? So you you kind of broke down a little bit. You hit some pointers there. I just wanted to,
for me, I love creative types. Sometimes I hesitate to call myself an entrepreneur, even though that is sort of what I'm doing. But I look at myself as a creative person. But in terms of influences, it may sound funny, but these are my influences. One is George Lucas. Creator of Star Wars. To me, when I really dived deep into what he did, he was a young man who was not the greatest filmmaker by any stretch of the imagination, but he was around some of the coolest cats to do it. Boys with Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Spielberg. That was their clique. They were all young cats just trying to figure it out. They was all about to change the game. And, with Lucas, he just was like one of these guys that, had a vision for something that had never been done before. I mean, essentially, he was trying to do things that he liked as a kid. He's like, how do I want to take these things that I liked as a kid and do them today? And, for me, it all went back to he had to pick up a pen and a piece of paper, and he had to write it down. And, it sounds so funny.
I know.
It's as simple as that. He had to get a pen and a paper, and he had to write this creation down. And it took him years to get it to where it was, but he stuck at it. He was like, okay, this part ain't working. Let me come back and retool it as this. He just kept going, and years later, it's $1 billion, generational wealth situation. It was created by him. So to me, that's an influence. It was a guy who he wasn't super wealthy. He didn't have no breaks. He just put in the work. He believed in what he was doing, even when most of the people that was working with him on Star Wars didn't believe in it.
Yes.
It was a joke. They thought it was going to bomb. It was corny, and he just did him. So that to me, I look at that and that inspires me. Of course, Prince.
Who's Prince?
Inspires me, and I say that because again, here's another black man from Minnesota.
At all places.
All places. Not coming from some rich environment. His family's a working family, but he took his vision and turned it into something that affected the world, and he did it on his terms.
Big time.
And he was a worker. He wasn't like, oh, I got a little bit of fame and money now, let me get into this dumb stuff and smoking and drinking and effing it off.
Yes.
He said, nah, actually I'm going to go back to work harder so I can be the best at this, at my craft. And so I'm influenced by his work ethic.
Big time.
That's something I try to emulate. That's why I always say work it like a job, you know.
Yeah.
If you go do something, be the best at it. Like some of these cats, they work all the time. You might see them on TV or movies. Oh yeah, they got to that point. Most of them, because they work. While we out here complaining about the process, racing the process.
Indeed.
Doubling down on and expecting everybody in their circle to be on that same wavelength. So I'm influenced by that type of stuff. And then I also am influenced by my peers and other people I see out here doing it. There's a lot of different podcasters and writers and people that I watch that have nothing to do with the stuff that I'm into, but I watch how they work.
Exactly. I agree to that.
Okay, this is how they do it. All right, cool. Let me get a little bit of this. And plus being in Seattle, you have Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. Again, I've read books on these cats. I just like the work ethic.
Yes, I agree with that. That's a big one. That's the thing
I take from these cats. Whatever they may be doing, I may not be all into. But in terms of what did it take for them to take their vision to the next level, there's things that we can learn from these. I had the opportunity to work at Amazon for 3 years.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was so funny because, I started there. It was I went back to the warehouse, it was a chain of event. I was back at the warehouse job, right? But I was a little older and humble. I humbled myself and said, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do.
Big time.
And so I got in there as a warehouse, but I walked out of here as one of the top managers.
Oh, wow.
In that building, which was very, very funny. Yeah, so it was like, and again, God will put you in these situations, but it was the thing about I had so many skills and different things. I have experiences. And certain people recognize and say, yo, you need to pull that dude. He's not supposed to be doing that over here. He's supposed to. And even, sometimes with us African Americans, particularly in tech and different things like that, sometimes their assumption is they're going to go with the other man first. They just think that, oh yeah. So what happened was they went with another person first, and that other person was not qualified or ready to do what was really going down.
Sure.
They had me standing next to him. And so I was sitting there and said, listen, I'll tell you what to do. I can help you. And so what happened was one of the managers saw that and was like, you actually the one doing all this, ain't you? I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, but you know what? I'm a team player, so it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool, man. This ain't my life. I'm really here to learn the game from the inside.
Exactly.
But he was like, hey, man, stick around for a second, and then boom. So it went from me doing that for like 3 months until I was sitting there at the boardroom table with the big dogs, really seeing the game from the other side and sit down. So I was just soaking it up. Like, I was like, oh, this is how they do it, okay? And how to team building, manage a team, and how to, you have all these different components, and how do you all come to the same goal, and, sort of like, have different departments and how to manage those, and then the morale of certain people. So I really just got to learn a lot, and I was like, okay. And I understand why Amazon is what it is.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because I saw the structure from the other side. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was able to take that and apply it to the podcasting and sort of build my own team of people.
Yes.
That work with me, right? And I took the same, mindset and things that they do to make themselves Fortune 500 and beyond. I said, okay, let me apply some of that to this, And so that was a blessing. And again, at first hated that job, but once I realized what I was learning, I said, you know what, God put me in a position where I would have to go to school and do a whole bunch of things to get this inside game.
Yes,
from
yes.
the biggest company in the world.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So,
And that,
you just gotta think about where you at and what opportunities you can grab.
yeah, matter of fact, speaking and building on that, this is a question off the questions, but building off that, I know you're a family man. So how have you been utilizing or, being able to take the time to balance the family thing with your entrepreneurship as far as your podcasting and other things I know you do on the side too, like the recordings and stuff like that? If you're still doing that, I don't even know if you're still doing that side of it, but I know you're still doing the podcast pretty regular. And you got a few podcasts. You're not just doing one, you're doing a few different podcasts. So I know, how are you balancing that with the family thing and doing, taking care of your entrepreneurship? How is that actually working out for you?
It's a learning process. It's a lot of compromise. My girlfriend really is a trooper in the sense that, obviously, I have to do these podcasts on Saturday at this particular time. I try to do it every week. So we have a little daughter, 2-year-old daughter, so we have to sort of switch off to be like, can watch her during this time. I have to understand too that I have to have a balance, because if left up to me, I'd be podcasting down there every day.
I know you would. I know you would.
But that's not fair, and that's not how you do things. Again, I remember the team building aspect I learned from Amazon. You can't push people, all the way. You have to have a compromise. So, in terms of answering that question, it's always an ongoing, flowing, thing. Sometimes I have to shift what I'm doing and make time for her, or vice versa.
Yes.
Or I have two other kids in Hawaii. So I gotta always stick with them. So I try to apply this mindset. I always say that when we have jobs and stuff, and I'm talking for black people right now, a lot of times when it's time to go to work, you go to work. They say you gotta be there at 8 o'clock. You go there and be there at 8 o'clock. You don't even second guess it.
For sure.
You gotta get there and get your money, blah blah blah. But when it comes time to do our own thing, we don't have that mindset.
You for sure. You right about that.
I get around to it. I don't feel like doing it today. So I said, I can't have that mindset, and I try to, for people that surround me, they have to treat this podcast or whatever it is I'm doing the exact same way you would treat it if I said I had to go work for that white man.
For sure. Agree to that.
So don't question. That means we really can't question our own thing, because this is our inheritance. This is our legacy.
Big time.
So so for me, is to answer your question, I have to find a balance where, we're doing this, and then sometimes I can't be doing this, Mike. You gotta be a dad, you take your responsibilities and stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do great, sometimes I can do a lot better. I can always do better.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm blessed that most of my family understands what I do now, and so they're like, "Oh, Michael's doing his podcast? Yeah, okay, cool." They may not know exactly all that it is, but
the detail, yeah.
To be like, that's his thing. You gotta do this thing.
Yeah, and that brings us to the next question. Okay, I know you've been seeing a lot of podcast success, and I've been seeing it as the years been going by. You've been growing very organically, the feature people you've been having on these podcasts, and awesome, like the hairstylist of Prince, and Prince's sister, and you know what I'm saying, some interesting, to me, very interesting to be able to capitalize or be able to get that, and knowing you've been and I think you had mentioned this to me, you was the first Prince podcast, I think, so that right there was like, why haven't nobody else got on that? I mean, even though it's a lot of Prince fans, my roommate, she's a Prince fan, diehard fan, know the colors, know what he's about, like you. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things I would like to ask you is, since the death of Prince, how have you been? How have it affected you? You know what I'm saying? And what type of way have that affected even how you get down on your podcast show itself? You know, because I can see that being, for some people, it's a taker. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. He's not alive, or, you know, I don't want to, you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the things that I think, kind of change your whole outlook, especially with Prince dying at a young age? I mean, he died too early. I mean, me personally. I mean,
that was it changed everything. My thing before he died, if you go back and listen to the shows, I always said we have to celebrate him while he's alive.
Big time.
I always made a point to say that's why I do this show. Mm-hmm. This brother is alive today. He's still active. He's great. He's a hero to black people, in my opinion. We're supposed to uphold our mentors and people who do great stuff.
Indeed.
Whether it's entertainment, education, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just one of those. And I felt like it was my job as a younger black dude who was influenced by some of his actions to we're supposed to pay it forward and celebrate our people while they're here with respect.
All good right there.
Stance. Now, once he died, it becomes, we have to service the fans. We gotta uphold his legacy.
Gotcha.
And we gotta make sure that it's not forgotten, because again, there's great things that we can learn as a people, and everyone can learn from his situation, good or bad.
Big time.
There's things you can learn from his death that really shed a spotlight to us as men, black men, and how we deal with our health.
Big time. Agreed.
He's not really supposed to be dead right now. Very young, but he was in that. I'm not gonna go into it, but it's an unfortunate situation. But a lot of us are going through that type of stuff.
Big time.
We can learn from what's going on with his estate and his family and legacy, and what do we leave to our family, and how we get ourselves set up so if something does happen to the patriarch of a situation, the family's not in disarray. So we can learn from that, right? Also can learn, and these are the things that the podcast is about now. We have to understand, what did it take for a man to get to that level? What did he do? What was the people that was around him that facilitated his situation so that he could be great? That's why I have the interviews with the people that was with him, because it ain't really just him, it's everybody that was there played a part.
Yeah.
And then what did they learn from being there? What can we, if we get around somebody great, how are we supposed to act?
Big time.
How do we build our confidence so that when it's time for showtime or whatever categories we're doing, we're ready to perform and prepared. So to me, right now, I'm learning this stuff as I do the podcast. But when you talk about Kim Berry, the hairdresser, that's a story for us to understand. How do we get to see ourselves out of South Central LA, and when an opportunity comes where you get around somebody that's doing something big, you're ready to get in there and learn something from that and get your blessing from the situation.
Your position. You're ready to go.
So those are the types of interviews I love doing, because it don't matter what you get into, you can learn something from her experience, other people's, when they get around the opportunity, what they do. Because not everybody makes it.
Not
everybody understands
you're right
what to
about
do
that.
to get around something. So the podcast right now, that's what it's really about, man. It's to service the fans and to educate. And I'm learning to ride along with everybody else. And I think the thing that is helping the podcast be somewhat successful is that I just try to keep it on a conversational level. I have a lot of respect for these people, and I think they can kind of sense that, like, this is not some kind of gotcha program.
No, I'm with you.
Trap you up and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I would have the same conversation with you if it was just at a bar or down the street to chop it up.
For sure.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the podcast. I'm like, and I think they're comfortable now. So now it's to the point where a lot of people are sort of approaching me like, yo, can we come on the show? And I used to.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. I noticed that too. When I'm scrolling down your, you know, your podcast shows, I'm like, damn, this brother got a whole bunch of good podcasts, you know, things I'm interested in too. I mean, being a creative. And that kind of brings us to a point too where, yeah, even though we talk about on this podcast, we talk about health, fitness, cannabis, and how that's incorporated in your life, entrepreneurship. You know, what is some of the things have you been doing? What is your health looking like? I mean, not trying to put it out there, but what have you actually been doing? Any running or, you know, side work? Because you got to keep that health up, key.
Exactly. I don't know if you know this, but you know, I have a team of guys. You know, there's this team of people, and some of them are co-hosts. So on some of the shows, there could be up to 3 or 5 of us. One of my brothers, Sean Keel, he was a Asian Prince fan. He came on the show maybe 5 or more years ago, and just been a regular ever since.
Okay.
He recently passed away. Right?
Oh man.
Maybe it was last month. Now this brother was 44, 45.
Oh, young brother.
Yes.
Oh
and
man.
So when you talk about health, you know, that was our wake-up call, because maybe a year or so ago he had like a sort of heart situation, health thing, and then me and him did a show about it, right? Where we talk real talk about what's going on, and you know, changing eating habits, and stress, and all these things. But I wasn't. I can put his business out there, but let's just say that brother was going through it in terms of family life, you know, and getting things back on track.
Yes.
And unfortunately, you know, he passed in his sleep, you know, and some of the things that we always sort of hear about, you know, the cholesterol.
Yes. Diabetes, the whole lot.
Our weight together, diabetes, that are, you know, overly stressed.
Yeah, anxiety.
You know, being in a highly stressful situation. So he died way too young. It was a shocking thing. It was just crazy. And so that really prompted me and a lot of people that I know. I actually got back to the doctor's office. I was one of them brothers who hadn't been to the doctor in over 10 years.
Yeah, sound pretty accurate.
Got me massive. You know, I got too much at stake. You know, I got my family, my kids at stake.
Got you.
Got to get back into there. And got to check up. Did that whole thing. Come to find out, my sugar or whatever blood was just almost a little too much. Cholesterol. So you know, you got to start changing your diet up and getting yourself together.
Big
so
time.
to answer that question, yeah, I'm just now opening my eyes to that, because I've been blessed and never really been sick a lot. You know, it's just, you know, a slim brother. But you know, I'm 48 years old now, so my body's changing a little bit.
You know,
but I still got to keep up my activities. So yeah, I'm still trying to learn and find that right regimen.
Big time.
So that's why I'm glad that I know you. Like, soak up some information, get some knowledge, and correcting this. You know.
Yeah.
So they said steel sharpens steel.
Yeah, big time. And it's so funny too how, I mean, just thinking of you, that's why I think you've been seeing some of my texts I've been sending you. I'm like, I want to do an interview with this brother because I know he's on a higher level on the podcast. So one of the questions I get a lot of times is, a lot of people ask me, you know, locals and a few people out, you know, out of the country, or, you know, via email or whatever the case may be. So, you know anything about podcasting? And you know, but I know somebody directly, and you come to mind all the time. I mean, even though we did a podcast, that tech podcast we was doing, Techno Enthusiast, shout out to my brother Josh on that, but it was definitely some things. And this brings us into the next question. What has been the biggest mistake you have made far as starting this podcast or your entrepreneurship journey? What has been that biggest mistake?
Not believing in myself.
Ooh.
It's simple. Not being consistent, not thinking I was good enough or something. Just not having, at the end of the day, it's not having faith in what I'm doing. Because you always, I gotta buy this equipment, if I get this mic, then I'll be ready. You know, I don't have this computer, I'm not exactly ready yet. Nah. That's to me, it was just a lack of faith. So that's where my biggest obstacle is, to believe what I'm doing. I wouldn't be put in these positions if I couldn't handle it. God wouldn't allow these opportunities to come forward if I wasn't ready. I was ready the day I was born. You were ready the day you was born.
Sure. It's just about the trigger.
Exactly. So that was my biggest thing. You know, and people ask me about podcasting, I would say this, man. Listen, do you have a computer? Do you have a phone? You got something. Does it have a record button on it? You're ready to podcast.
Big time.
The thing that's the tricky thing about podcasting or anything really is putting in the work. So it don't matter what tools if you can hit record, and the main thing you got to bring to it is you. If you can sit there and talk and do that and do it maybe 10 times, have 10 episodes, then you're ready to podcast.
Got you.
It's as simple as that. All of the technical, does it sound as better as such and such? That'll all come. But you could have the top flight sound. You can go spend thousands of dollars and go buy all this equipment. But if you ain't got the wherewithal or the discipline to record up to 10, 20 shows, then you ain't ready.
Yeah, you're right about that. And even the prep, the prep time and stuff like that. A lot of people, because it's funny too, because I'll be like, well, I got so many interviews and so many podcast episodes that's, constantly, putting together, packaging. The one thing about it is editing, going in there, cleaning it up, making sure everything's looking right. Not saying it's got to be perfect, not saying that. But at the same time, the time. A lot of people don't think about the time. You're putting in there and what the kind of work, and then the graphics and all that other stuff. That's so.
Yeah, and the thing is, today, and this again is another lesson I sort of learned from Amazon and stuff, and you can get this from anywhere. So you could just be, if you were just a podcaster and he's like, listen, I just want to talk about my topic, doing the graphics and the editing, you know what? You can hire somebody to do all that stuff.
Got you.
Go on Fiverr.com, find somebody that'll do it for $5, $10, and that way you're done. So it's done. You don't have to let that be a building block. And if you can't afford $5 or $6, then there's other things you gotta think about before you're worried about podcasting.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a part. You have to charge that to the game and say, listen, I have a plan. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna talk about health and fitness.
Got you.
Cool. I'm gonna record my episodes, and then I'm gonna send them over to this guy I paid to edit them. This other person's gonna do the artwork, and then I'm gonna upload them and put them on iTunes. Or if I have to pay a service that facilitates all of that, then so be it. But I'm gonna create my product and then use these other tools to help me get it out there. Not everybody is gonna be that super. I'm gonna do the recording.
Yeah, you're right about that. And
artwork. And I was able to do all that, but you know what? It was holding me back.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing too much. I had to focus on taking it to the next level. So I had to build a team, and I had to force myself to let go of some of the reins and say, listen, I'll just stick to being the best at being the host and being, doing that part. And then I was push this over to this dude, so he's gonna do all the editing for the audio. This guy's gonna do the video, and I have to have confidence. I can't have that faith I'm talking about.
Yes, devotion.
Believe in my team of people so that we can get to the next level. Because I was the one holding me back. I had all these other people like, y'all might want to help. What can we do? Push the work. And so I had to learn how to manage a team of people so that we can take this thing to the next level. Because you can't do it all by yourself.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because you know how you psychologically you have timelines in your, you're making timelines within your particular history or her story, right? So it's kind of interesting, even when I think about you, or when I'm actually resonating on you personally, you have these pinpoints, pro-tape, then you come to the point where we actually met up. Okay, you was doing all this duplication, and how organically things kind of bring you back. Like, you know, we're not finished. That's the one thing I say to all my relationships with people like yourself. I'm not finished, or we're not, our relationship is not finished. Our relationship, I think, is organically growing into something major, because I can see you far as part of my network, part of the network, and vice versa, part of a network where it's making a lot more sense. We got more, we got examples of people that's actually successful on a level you can actually talk to, kind of like the Timothy Ferriss. I mean, I'm a big Timothy Ferriss fan.
Yeah.
And he brings a lot of resources, and kind of like you, when I'm looking at stuff like you're doing, incorporating in your podcast and, you know, the layouts and stuff like that. So I'm kind of using you as a, you know, I mean, you're like I said, you've been a big inspiration for me. I mean, every time I'm like looking at podcasts or something, I'm like, oh, let me go check Michael out and see what he up to first before I even go check somebody else's stuff, you know. Wow. So that's just a, you know, throw out there. That's dope. You know, so going down to this next question, where are you finding these resources, like your via internet, mentors, magazine, blogs, etc., for your podcast and your entrepreneurship? Because I know you're a learner. You always talked about being a team player. I mean, you know, working like a job. Some of these things you've been kind of hitting, and I kind of been seeing that philosophy as far as your experience, my experiences with you. So what have been some of those resources? Because I know you always have great resources like the Lula.com. I still use them today. I mean, I don't know if you're using them anymore, but certain resources back in the day you kind of connected me with, and I'm utilizing them today and incorporating, even like Create Space. I mean, you was the one who really gave me some to start, you know, really put my books and stuff I've been doing in process. So what are some of the resources?
So, you know, I find a lot of my resources, I love to watch, like I said, YouTube is one of the greatest resources at this point, because you can learn damn near anything on there, which is great, because again, it's up to you. So as a resource, I love to figure out like how people do things, certain things I want to do. So when I like podcasting, there's things in podcasting I still learn. How are they doing this? How are they doing like the phone call and then connect that with the thing? So I go on YouTube and I just type in, okay, how do you do this? And there's usually mad videos that will break this down. You know, right now I'm really into using different apps to help facilitate management and sort of keeping me on track of what I'm supposed to be doing next. So a lot of times I will go on to, you know, I'm into YouTube right now, is my big thing. So I'll go on and look at YouTubers. There's a ton of YouTubers that just teach you how to be great on YouTube.
Yeah, you're right about that.
There's a brother,
Roberto, yeah, he's the man.
You already know.
Yeah.
That's one of my guys. I've never met this brother, but he's a teacher to me. You know, he's a mentor. I see some of myself in that brother.
Brother, that's you. That's the first thing when I seen the brother, I was like, this brother is you. That's Michael Dean right there. Literally, that's what I was saying. I think I even text you or sent you a link to one of his videos, because he's definitely somebody I've been following and kind of getting the aspect of how YouTube work, the analytics, the algorithms, you know, the whole nine. Definitely. Shout out to you, Roberto. I follow him on Twitter and everything too, so if he's listening to this, he definitely shout out.
My brother is doing it, man. That's so funny you say that, because my cousin, she doesn't even live in the state, but she had texted me a while ago. She said, I come across this one guy, he reminded me so much of you. Yeah. And I was like, that's funny. But yeah, you know, so cats like him, I follow those people, you know, so I see what they're talking about. I may not be able to watch all of this stuff.
No doubt.
I see it come across my timeline, and I'm like, okay, let me jump into that one. And these guys are dropping gems.
Big time.
They're giving up the game. And it's the same old thing. You can give the game away. A lot of people are not going to take what they say and act on it. But so for me, I'm going to act on it.
Big time.
I'll watch what he says. So he says, hey, I use this app to help me, you know, plan out my thing. I go see what that app was. I try, okay, this is what they're doing. You know, so that's how I'm learning a lot of things right now. I'm watching the guys who are, in my opinion, some of the leaders of this.
Yes.
And I see how are they doing. They tell you how, you gotta do that. You know, the other guy I love is Gary Vee. I know you.
Oh yeah, brother. Come on.
Yeah, he's just, they spit. I don't even watch all of it, but when I do, I get motivated. You know, I'm like, okay, Gary Vee, he's out of control. He's going hard. But I watch these types of guys and I see what they're doing. You know, what camera are they using? Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about
this is
that.
How they do it. And then, you know, for me, I'm very impatient. So I'm like, well, I want to get into doing video. Oh, they got Premiere? Okay, let me go on. I'm just going to start watching Premiere tutorial videos and I'm going to do it right along with them and soak it up. You know, cool, okay. I know enough to get it out there, you know, so those are how I get a lot of things. You know, the thing I use right now, one thing that I use right now is called Trello.
I'm familiar with them, yeah.
It's Trello.com. It's basically a site. Yeah, you can go, so I use that a lot now because then I can lay out stuff I'm working on, stuff that I want to do, what podcast coming up.
Yeah, that's a great tool. Thank you.
Need to be edited, you know, and then I'll assign certain things. So I guess I have one person in the group where he's, you know, I got him up to speed on how to use Adobe Audition. And
Got you.
So I'm like, here, man, here's what I do and how I can edit the show. So just learn my steps, and then that way it can be consistent. So
yes, and you got a good point too. And that brother said Audition, Adobe Audition. I haven't heard that in a while, but
man, it's dope as hell. And here's another blessing, you know. I still work. I have a job. I'm sort of back at like another sort of pro tape type of thing. It's not about audio, but we do signs.
Oh wow.
And stuff like that, but it's the same type of job, so it's actually really cool for me because again, I get to do whatever I want to do. I don't have nobody over me.
Gotcha.
And it's just free like that. But I use Illustrator a lot.
Okay.
And I wasn't a big Illustrator dude. I never used Illustrator, but in this business, you know, the real graphics, you gotta know how to use Illustrator. So I just dove into it, and I really love it. And now it's like I started using Adobe Audition again. I used to use it a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of expensive. And I said, you know what? Let me get back to Adobe Audition because I'm already using Photoshop every day, Illustrator, and I want to get into some of the After Effects stuff because I wanted to create some of the intros for the videos.
Big time. Okay.
So I just went ahead and bought the Adobe Creative Cloud thing. It's like $50 a month.
That's right.
But it gives you all the programs. So I was like, cool. But here again, lack of faith. A couple people just say, oh, you should just hit up, you know, the owner for where you work and just tell him you want to get the whole Adobe. You know,
sweet, yeah.
Have him pay for it. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, you know. But I'm gonna go ahead and pay for it. You know, it's cool. I'll wait till the right time. Right? So I'm just, you know, one day me and him was chopping it up, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, I tried to throw it in, because he was already paying for like Illustrator and Photoshop for work for me. But I was already, you know, I'm using those for myself, and I'm gonna start using Adobe and all this other stuff. So I was like, instead of you paying, you know, the $20 you're already paying, you just pay another $10. We can get everything, and I'll pay the rest. Blah blah blah. It's like, nah, I don't worry about that. Just go ahead and get the whole thing. Get whatever you need.
Oh wow, wow.
You know, it was like words. Yeah, it's not a word.
Yeah.
So again, it was like one of these things I didn't believe in myself enough to just ask for what you want. You know, prove that you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, your resume is already deep. We'll talk about it a little bit. I mean, before you go, I wanted to just ask something, you know, later on after this interview. Sure. But yeah, and I mean, you definitely have the tool. I mean, you already there, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so it just a matter of me believing it. And he was like, yeah, whatever you need. And it was so funny, Adobe, it was only a short period of time, so they gave me my full $50 back on.
Oh, wow.
And,
yeah.
And now I really see how I should have been using this a long time ago, because these programs all work so seamlessly with each other.
I know.
They cut my workflow in half, and the quality of everything is just superb. And again, so it's basically just get the tools you need that you're supposed to have. And then, at the same point, the job blessed me. I got a Surface Pro. I was always just using like sort of hand-me-down or just jury-rigged equipment. I had to do because I just didn't care.
Making it happen.
Making it happen.
Yeah.
So when I was, when I got in a situation, I was like, damn, I want that laptop. It could be dope. It could give me everything. And I just asked for it. I said, can I get this? It was like, oh, no problem. Which one you want? Go down into the store and get it. I got you. So that opened another. That was like.
That's on point.
Dope.
That's on point. Yeah. So that brings us to the next question. What is your definition of success? What is your definition of success?
From a creative standpoint, my definition of success is the creation of whatever it is that you're doing. The podcast is a success to me once I hit the record button and the actual episode is finished. Whether or not it gets a lot of downloads or this, that, and the other third, that doesn't determine it to me per se. Because again, you gotta remember, I was doing this podcast 13 years ago when there wasn't that many people listening.
I'm with you, brother. That's what I'm saying. I know you've been on the grind.
I love doing it. I love being able to talk about this topic and chopping it up. So it was a success that I was able to do it for so long. So that was the success in itself. Even when I was doing music, the success of the music to me was to actually listen back to what I created.
Sure.
Dang, I actually did that. I can't believe I made this. This is good to me. Whether or not it blows, of course I wanted to get to people, but it was a success, me just doing it.
Yes. And you're creating a legacy. I mean, we talked about that earlier with Prince. You had mentioned that with Prince. I mean, you're creating a legacy. Your children now have something they know daddy with. I mean, literally, daddy lives on forever. I mean, all these archives you have on these podcasts and all these shows you've been doing. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you're a mentor. You're a mentor for me. I mean, being an elder for me, being somebody I can look up to and kind of say, okay, well, this brother did this. Let me go see what I can do, or ask him. Maybe he can give me some feedback or some consultation or whatnot. And that kind of
that's the success right there.
Yeah, and that's one. And that brings us to the next question. What do you think is the most important quality or attribute that has contributed to your success? What are some of the things that people are saying about you? Because I know you get a lot of that. I mean, especially with your podcast, the Prince podcast, because I know a lot of people be tuned into that particular podcast. I mean, even with the book you had written on Amazon.com. Look at all these plugs. But no. But just the point,
Well, in terms of what the people say, that's in more recent times, that's been the very humbling situation. And I always say this to my team, like, we have to take this serious, because the people that are listening to us, they take it serious.
Yes.
It means something to them. And I'm not saying that to pump myself up, it's just saying that sometimes we would be on there just having a ball and not really thinking about what we're talking about sometimes. But because media is so powerful, we have to be cognizant that there's people out here that are really feeling what we're doing.
Big time.
I went to Minneapolis recently.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember. Yeah, they actually they flew me out there, put me up in a hotel, and I hosted this event.
Oh wow.
For the Paisley Park alumni, and I did a panel seminar. But at the event, I met a lot of the listeners of the show were there. And
wow.
And I met people who, how I looked at people, like there's people that you admire, if you ever got to be around them, you want to just meet them and just to say hi to them, and then if you can't get an opportunity to speak to them, I felt that energy back to me, right? And that was such a mind-blowing thing.
Wow.
people like really, they saw you, just like, oh, Michael, damn, I could take a picture, and I want to talk to you about this, and I have to remember, and I'm the same way. We listen to podcasts. This is such a personal thing because it's in your ear.
Sure. Sure.
You feel like you know that person, so when you come around that person, you're very open to them because you feel like you know them, and so I get that from people, and that's what makes me really realize like this is a service, and I'm here to serve people. And for some people, this just helps them get through the pain of losing friends. For some people like yourself, it may be, hey man, this brother, he's doing some things. I can learn from this and get some game or inspiration, And that's a big thing for me because that's what I try to get from people. So I understand that aspect. So I get a lot of that now. So now I'm really like, I look at this way more important. It's like, yo, this is where God put us here to do some stuff. So sometimes I'll try to put in some extra stuff in and be like, yeah, we love this music and all this kind of stuff. But some of the important things as I've learned in this podcast is the connectiveness of family.
Big time.
Whether that's your blood family or your friends' family, people that you meet through these experiences, we have a shared common bond.
Big time.
And that's the legacy thing I try to really push for what I'm doing. So when I say working like a job or my podcast Juice family, we are connected. So when I went to Minneapolis, after we had that event, I ended up gathering like maybe 15 people, 20 people that were listeners and friends I had met to the show, and we all went out to eat. Man.
Oh wow!
And sat at a big table, and we just broke bread and had a great time.
That's so important.
And I actually recorded that.
Okay.
It's a dinner podcast, and I took the recorder and just had each person take it and go around the table and just say whatever they wanted to say about the experience. It was one of the best times, man. It was really special.
That's on point. That's on point. Respecting you highly, acknowledging your worth ethic, brother. What are your go-to tools that keep you so organized? You said Trello was one of them. Kind of going back, but I was just thinking, because I know, like, even just looking at the podcast juice.net, I mean, you got it laid out nice, but I know it's certain things like you were saying, as far as, keeping you sane. What are the things outside of the podcast as far as with the family? Do you keep an organized book or something with that too, or,
No, maybe I should. No, I'm working on the organizational part. That's a new thing for me to really get up on that, and I realized I had to start doing that for work. Now, as I was a little younger, I could keep everything in my head.
Got you.
And just was like super tight with it, but I realize now I'm forgetting some stuff. Like, this is too much going on, so I have to try and organize things. So I'm using Trello. I have a board for Podcast Juice. I have a board for my work, but things that sort of also keep me grounded. I'm a reader.
Yes.
So I have to read every day, whether it's just a little bit of something. I have probably I probably got like 8 or 9 physical books that are just sitting here around my bed, and I read a little bit of each one of their
Sound normal.
Different books, right? I got just a book. One of the books I got that I really love is called Hollywood Commandments by Von Franklin. This is his brother. His wife is Megan Good. He's an executive in Hollywood. This is a dynamic brother right here. It's a real good book. He's a Christian, so he comes from that aspect of it. But he really gives practical and spiritual sort of pointers on how he was able to navigate being in the Hollywood movie business,
but
still keep who he was and be who he was. You know what I'm saying? But it can apply to anything.
Got you.
So that's one I'm reading. I got Wesley Snipes. He came out with a fiction. You know what I'm saying? Thriller type book. I jump into that sometime. The Cartel by Don Winslow. It's just a real call that Mexican cartel.
Okay.
Versus the cops type, gritty type. So I got all
you're sci-fi. Yeah, you're a big sci-fi fan. I remember that.
So I do that, and then I'm also, low key writing a sci-fi book. I actually put out one.
This is the second one. Yeah, I recall.
Yes, I'm doing that one, and I've written a second book in that. So I'm trying to get that off to I actually had, it's a funny thing, I was so into that, like hardcore, and I actually wanted to pay an artist to do a cover. I spent like $400.
Oh, wow.
Professional. It's a dope cover, dude, out of Singapore, I think, or something.
Wow.
So I have all this stuff sort of waiting, but I had to sit back and sort of look at, y'all, I want a little too much. And I had to recognize where God was sending me as opposed to what I wanted to do. As much as I want to do writing and stuff, God got me in position right now to do this podcast and things that are popping off on that. So I just need to focus on that right now. So
I got you.
I had to discipline myself to, you can't be doing everything. You can't be get one thing popping first that you can give it your all. Then you can come back to that. So I kind of put that on the back burner a little bit, but in terms of helping me stay sane, I will pull it out every once in a while, read it over, start editing, write a little bit of stuff. But, so those are kind of things. And playing with my daughter, talking to my kids, going to work, playing my little video games sometimes. I love going to the movies, so I go to
you a movie buff, I know that for a fact.
I'm about to go to see Justice League for the second time after I get off with you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I know you watch them a few times. I remember just listening to your podcast, what you were saying.
Yeah, and I get that from, it's so funny, I got that from my uncle, man. And it's interesting because, it was his dad who just passed away, my grandfather. And my uncle kind of stepped in a position to kind of take up the slack that my dad had.
Okay.
Right, but I always remember and I always give it up to him because he took me to go see Star Wars when it first popped off. I was just a kid. I want to take you to go see this movie. We're going to go see this movie. So we get on the bus, go downtown, and that blew my mind open. And the stuff I saw on that screen I had never seen before, and it changed everything for me. Just let me know anything it's limitless what you can think of.
Yeah, for sure.
And I always have to give that up to him, and that gave me a love for going to the movies. This at one particular moment, so I still go because of my uncle Larry. You know what I'm saying? He put the opportunity for me, and I'm always thankful for him for that.
No doubt.
That's why I be trying to. That's why I go, and that's why with my kids, I was always like, yo, we're going to the movies. And, sometimes about what we see is that we're gonna go do this together, and I think you'll always remember these things that we do together.
Yeah, big time.
Your dad liked
the quality.
My dad, he liked to do this, so I'm gonna like it too. That type of thing.
Yeah, no doubt. So if someone wants to know how to contact you or your services, where do they go? This is your opportunity to tell me all the connections, the social sites, the numbers, the podcasts. Let's get it.
All right. Well, the easiest way is just look up podcastjuice.net. Whether you just type that in your browser. If you use Facebook, look up Podcast Juice or look up the Prince Podcast. If you are on YouTube, just type in the Prince Podcast or Podcast Juice. We're going to come up. We're pretty on all the platforms. You'll find us on there on Twitter. We're on Twitter heavy. Podcast Juice. Michael D. You can look up Michael D. If you want to hit me up directly, it would be michael@podcastjuice.net. But yeah, man. So we're definitely out there trying to do our thing. And I would say this to anybody that's trying to do their stuff. I remember I used to always be I gotta have a website, You don't need to have a website. What you need to do is you just need to have your work on the platforms that the people are at.
I got you.
A lot of people are on Facebook, so you need to be on Facebook. A lot of people are on YouTube. You need to be on YouTube. A lot of people on Twitter. You need to be on Twitter or Instagram. But it'd be easier time getting them to see you on those platforms than you would be trying to create your own website.
Got you.
To compete with these other platforms and get those people to come to your house. You know, those
Great
other
point.
platforms just spend millions and millions of dollars to get them eyeballs. You're probably not going to be able to compete with that to pull them away. So
You're right.
use their platforms to set up shop, you know, and put your work out there, and then your work will shine to the people who are looking into the same type of stuff you are into. That's one thing I could say.
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. That's a nice little tip right there.
Yeah, because I just started getting heavy on YouTube, man, just about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And our YouTube is bigger than the podcast, and the podcast been on for 13 years.
Wow. And then it's another thing, the internet is about to blow up again. I mean, it's 2020 is coming here, so I'm guessing, you know, something's innovative going to happen. I already see Amazon's going to be the internet. Keep it real with you. This is what I'm seeing, you know, and those that, you know, far as positioning themselves like your podcast, Prince Podcast, and many, the podcast juice, being in a position where you have built authority, you have built expertise. You're saying you're an expert in what you do, you know. And matter of fact, this is the last question. Would there be anything you would like to add that I didn't cover here in this interview today?
I would say, also another tool to use to think about is Patreon.
Oh,
people
yeah.
Hearing about Patreon. That's a very valuable thing. You know, a lot of times it comes down to, you know, we always want to make money at what we do, or at least make something to sort of support what we're doing. And I recently really got into Patreon in a big way, and it's been excellent, man. It really works. You sort of crack the code and really, I would say crack the code, really just let your people know about it and that they can understand it. It works exceptionally well. So part of my focus now is sort of shifted from exclusively just podcasting out to iTunes to taking my core group of people who really see the value in what we do, and we focus on Patreon. So it may be a smaller audience, right?
Okay.
But it's an audience of people who are supporting us in a bigger way. Like,
gotcha.
we can actually do this for a living type of situation. So that's a powerful platform if you're doing whatever creative thing you're doing. Look into Patreon. That's a great way to sort of monetize what you do. And then you don't have to have all these technical things. It's all built into that platform.
Gotcha.
So all you gotta do is just upload your work and, you know, be in conversation with your people.
Big time.
But yeah, I would say look at Patreon, man. That has been exceptional for us. And I will say YouTube, man, is a very powerful platform. If you think of YouTube, don't think of it just as a video thing, but think that YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet.
Period. Yeah. Period.
Think of it like that.
Yeah.
It's a game changer to me. I started to realize, let me position these videos in a way that this is going to be educational.
Yeah.
Because people's typing in, I want to learn about my brain, or I want to learn sound engineering, or just, I want to be a hairdresser, Then you will see the whole thing flip. So, and I want to go back to something you mentioned about that Kim Berry, the hairdresser thing.
Yes.
Just off of that video alone, which was, I just took the audio podcast and put it as a video, I was able to buy a high-end DLSR video camera off the strength of just that video being on YouTube for 3 months.
Wow.
And that had, and that was, again, recognizing, this is an inspirational story. It's an educational story. Let me get it on the biggest search engine, one of the second biggest search engines of the world. And of course, YouTube, after you get a certain amount of numbers, they allow you to be a partner.
Yeah, exactly.
Generate some money off of that. So that video went from 0 to over 100 some odd thousand views.
Wow.
In a short amount of time, and that sort of kickstarted a whole other wave for us on YouTube.
Got you.
And then we started putting the other videos up there, and those videos started going viral. you know, again, as a small sort of business, it was another stream of revenue to help out, you know.
And that makes a lot of sense right there, brother. Make a lot of sense. Sure. And I guess so. We'll definitely. I appreciate your time, brother. Like always. Thank you for thanks for even coming. You know, I mean, like I said, I'll be on. You know, I appreciate you, brother. You've been a big influence. You've been a big motivator for me. You know, not just in the podcast, but in the creative realm. And I mean, just on, you know, resources, certain things that's working, and we can see it, and especially with your experiences too, you know, being an older brother and kind of looking at what you've been doing and how you've been navigating. I can kind of follow the footsteps and whatnot, you know, knowing I got a path that's already made, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Just
it's so funny you say it, because I get so much, I'm from old school hip hop, you know. One of the credos is that you always had to be the illest nigga. You had to be your stuff. You had to have this style to it. You had to be cold. You couldn't be fighting, or you know, if the boy was doing his thing, you always had to be yeah, that's cool, but I'm the best at it. I'm the best at it. You know, it wasn't an ego thing. It was just a you know, the healthy competition. So,
yeah.
For me, I see you, and there's so many younger cats that's really doing it big. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna allow these cats to outwork me, or I'm coming to destroy
Sure. Dominating your industry.
Competition.
Yeah.
So each person sort of pushes the next man to do better. So I hope that I can, people can look at me like, yo, Mike, nah, I can't allow that to go down. Let me get in here and let me show them how to really do it. So I hope I can motivate other people.
You doing it.
I'm motivated from y'all. I see everybody doing their thing too.
No, you doing it. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the same thing when I'm working with this. We started the Denver Bar Squad last year, and you know, usually, you know, I'm the oldest usually within the particular calisthenic environment I'm working in right now. I'm usually the oldest, so it's like, you know, they keep me motivated, they inspire me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm self-inspired too, don't get it twisted. But you definitely gotta, I know how you feeling, because I'm like, you gotta keep your game up. You gotta keep your game up and dominate the game to let these young cats know what's really going down.
and I'm learning, you know, and so much new stuff, so I have to stay on my learning game at all times, because that's what I say when I see like the Roberto cat.
Oh, man.
Like, that dude, I'm gonna learn from this.
Yeah, and he's a young brother too. That's what I was. Yeah, and that's what I was like. Damn, this brother coming, and he's like in fields that's like. I mean, he does everything you pretty much do. If you looked at your resume, I guarantee your resume ain't too different from his, vice versa. You feel what I'm saying? He's a creative. He's in marketing. He does all the graphics. Exceptional, you know. And that's the first thing when I've seen the brother, and I just had got in touch with that brother maybe 2 years ago now.
Okay.
You know, discovered the brother. Let me say it like that. Discovered the brother, and I was like, man, this is Michael right here. This, you know.
I love cats like that. I found out he was here in Seattle recently, like last week.
Oh wow!
And so it's that type of thing. That's the other thing too that's so funny, man. I recently ran across a lot of my virtual mentors within the last couple months. There was this one cat, Gamer Tag Radio.
Oh, okay.
I've been following them dudes for years. You know, I don't listen to it as much now, but I always was like, they was one of the ones when I was podcasting. I'm like, oh, okay, let me learn how they format these shows.
Sure.
You know, I just love what they was doing. And so I was walking down the street. It was just back when it was a big video game conference that was going on downtown. And I was just walking down the street, and I seen a dude that was the host. He's probably about my age, big cat. And I was like, is that dude? I was like, oh, that is that cat. So I chased him and said, hey, my man. I said, yo, man, I said, hey, I'm a fan. I'm gonna keep it 100. I've been following you. He was real cool. And I was just like, yeah, man, you motivate brothers, man. You're doing your thing. I just had to see you. and chop it up. Would you shake your hand and say thank you? You know, we took a quick picture, but I was like, man, okay, I see. I always, to me, I was thinking, yo, man, God's trying to show me, like, yo, you right there with them.
Opportunities. Yeah, yeah.
And then the other day, or a couple weeks ago, I was downtown again at Barnes and Nobles.
Okay.
And there's one of the big movie reviewers, Jeremy Johns. Look at this cat. He got over 1 million some odd subscribers. I mean, he's making big money. He's one of the top guys in this thing.
Okay.
He's going up the escalator. And I'm like, oh, is that old boy? I said, man, let me go over here and holler at this cat. Hey, my man. I said, yo, man, I see you. I be watching you every day, you know. And I knew he was from Seattle.
Okay.
It was just like, oh, I said, damn, man, it's a good thing to see a person in real life, and you know it's possible. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, the faith. Yeah, the devotion is there. You know, the faith is there. Yeah, where you can, you know.
You know, he was real humble. Boy, I was just like, oh, man, I took a quick picture. You know, I said, maybe one of my virtual mentors. But I followed you. I've learned a lot of game from you. And it was one of those. Again, I said, man. God is funny. He put you around this circle of people in a certain way. And all you can do is just learn from it. And you can see that he ain't no different than you.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key right there.
Just putting in work. That's all. You can do that too. So, yeah, man, the mentorship and the following these cats is important. Because those cats all follow people too. And
yes.
learn from different people.
For sure. Yeah, like I said, I want to thank you again for sharing your time, sharing your knowledge, sharing your experiences, and your wisdom too. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And we'll end it there, unless you have something else you want to end it with, or you know.
Nah, man, thank you for having me on and you know, let me talk on your platform. It's an inspiration that you would even ask me to do this. So
ain't no question, brother. I mean, you the man. I mean, and eventually I like to do a follow-up with you too, you know, a few months from now or whatever, you know, because I really enjoy the conversation, plus the things we have been able to do for each other throughout the years has been kind of awesome to me, the experiences. And I just want to, you know, introduce you to the people I'm connected with on the fitness, the health, the cannabis, the, you know what I'm saying, these other sides, because there's so much opportunity out here and there's so much money out here. We fail to really use our imaginations, as Einstein would talk about, you know, because we lack that. But on that note, brother, appreciate you and thank you again for that.
All right, peace.
So as we conclude, Konsider wants to thank you for your time and support. For more information, tune in to www.konsidergroup.com, Facebook, Konsider Group, Twitter, Konsider Group, Instagram, Konsider Group. It's all how we connect. Networking within a network.